Good day, everyone, and welcome to the INE Cyber Security Week. I'm Neal Bridges, and I've been asked to talk to you all about the day in the life of a security team. Now, before that, I just want to thank INE for asking me to speak to you all during this awesome event. Now, I've had the privilege of leading multiple teams since I got out of the Air Force in 2013. Several ethical hacking teams and 2 large global security operations teams for Fortune 100 companies. So that's the perspective that I'm going to share with you all today. Now, there are obviously multiple parts of a cybersecurity team. However, in most organizations, those teams are generally broken down into 4 key areas: risk and governance team, a privacy team, a security architecture team, and a security operations team. For today's conversation, I'm going to primarily be speaking about the security operations team, but we'll probably hit aspects of the others as well. Now, with that being said, let's jump right into it. Inside of a security operations team, you'll almost always find the incident response team. Typically speaking, on the incident response team, the first thing you do after you get your morning coffee, of course, is do turnover with the team that's coming off of shift. Usually, it'll either be a local team or an overseas team, depending on if you're doing 24/7 operations or a follow the sun model. This is hands down the most important part of the day. Figuring out what was being worked while you were off shift and where you need to pick up any incidents or investigations that were started over the course of the night or the previous shift. From there, depending on the type of job you have, you'll probably sit down at the desk and start to look through the tools that you have at your disposal. For instance, if your job is focused primarily on phishing, you'll usually use the phishing tools such as Cofense or Wombat to look through the phishing mailbox and start to look for either quarantine messages or those submitted by users. This will usually then lead you to using tools like your SIM or your Security Information Event Management or some of your sandbox tools to do investigations on the phishing emails to pull out those indicators of compromise. Now, if you're a security analyst who's focused on incident response, for instance, you're probably going to be jumping right into your SIM console and start to look through the previously opened cases, alerts, or even just looking at a general state of the environment. One of the biggest challenges that comes with this part of the job is this notion of alert fatigue. In most large organizations, they have hundreds, if not thousands of alerts that happen in the course of a day. There's always that balance between the fear of missing a critical alert and having too many of them. So you're typically the first to get involved with helping the other teams in evaluating alerts to see if there's too many false positives or if there's anything that you can do to tune those alerts to make them more effective at detecting the adversary. Now, if you're investigating alerts, you're bringing to bear the full suite of tools in a security organization to look for that needle in a sea of needles. Listen, there are adversaries that are trying to attack your organization every day. And so you're constantly on the front lines of those protection tools, using them in the fullest capability to protect the company from hackers, business account compromise, and ransomware. Typically, you're the first to declare an incident. And so if you have an incident that day, then it's like you get to be thrust immediately into the role of an emergency room doctor as you attempt to triage and stop the adversary from harming your company. Now, if you've got a real knack for it or have been in security work for about 3 to 5 years, you might be promoted into what is known as a threat hunter. In this role, you're using your investigative skills daily to research all of the new tactics, techniques, and procedures that are released either that day or that week to create what is known as hunt packages for your team. These hunt packages comprise of a hypothesis on how an adversary would attempt to compromise your organization. From there, you would research that hypothesis, you'd research those tactics, techniques, and procedures, and you would develop a series of searches either in your SIM, your EDR tool, or other security tools that allow you to test this hypothesis. This testing is also known as hunting. During a threat hunt, you are effectively hunting for the adversary when your normal tools wouldn't be able to detect them by searching for lesser known behavioral indicators. If you find any of these indicators, potentially leading to identifying an adversary in your network, you either send it to the incident response team for them to respond to, or you improve your detection mechanisms by improving your tools. There may also be penetration testers on your security team. Typically, as a penetration tester, you have a schedule of penetration tests that you want to perform. Whether these are web application or network-based, they may even be phishing attacks. Now, during that day, you may partner with the incident response team as you conduct your testing so that you can use those attacks to improve their detection mechanisms. And when you're not performing tests, you're definitely writing reports and working with the IT teams to fix the issues that you uncovered during your test. Now, listen, these are just a few examples of what the typical day could look like on a security operations team. A security organization is obviously very, very big. Without diminishing the other jobs, I want to give you a quick high level of what happens to the rest of the organization while this part of the team is working. Typically, on a security architecture team, they're usually neck deep in projects and emerging technology. It is typical that the architects are finding the latest and greatest technology in coordination with the IT teams and trying to see how it improves an organization's security posture, or they're working with the IT teams on that emerging IT technology and making sure it gets implemented in the most secure fashion. Ultimately, they're there to build a secure company. The privacy team is oftentimes working with the various organizations to make sure that they're protecting the privacy of the company's employees, their customers, or they're utilizing technologies such as DLP or data loss prevention and encryption technology to do that job. Now, finally, the risk and governance team. They're working strategically to ensure that the overall mission of the cybersecurity organization is being achieved and helping to ensure that that business can take the risk it needs to improve stakeholder and shareholder value. They are working constantly to oversee the policies and the risk posture of the organization to meet the needs of the business. A cybersecurity organization is obviously a giant machine with tens of thousands of moving parts on a day to day basis, all working in concert to make sure that the organization can protect its people, data, or customers from cyber threat activity. There's never a dull day, and I look forward to seeing you all on the battlefield. Again, I'd like to thank INE for the chance to speak at their event and hope everybody learns a lot this week. And I'll leave you with my typical closing statement. Whether you're on the red side or the blue side, or still deciding, keep learning.